Guys, thanks for joining me. We are going to make the drip bag by Parker on the Porch. This is a front zip number 3 zipper bag, and this is what it looks like. This is the 6x10 file size right here. Here's the front. Here's the back. I'm going to open it for you. Here's what the inside lining looks like. Completely enclosed. Okay. So I went ahead, and this fabric down here was a Cami Lulu pre-order. It was a while ago. It's called Sweet Treats. So you can go look for that if she has some in retail or something. I'm not really sure. But that's what this fabric is. This fabric on top, this is, I use cotton lycra. This fabric on top is just a woven from Joann's. It just has like little polka dots, okay? So that is the fabric I'm using. I told you the size. So what you need, I'm going to go ahead and put 1 sheet of cutaway on my hoop. I'm going to use my 7x11 hoop because this is 6x10. And I'm going to go ahead and meet you over at the machine. You can use tearaway. Just know that your stabilizer stays inside of the bag. So whatever stabilizer you want to use, go ahead and use that. That's just a preference, okay? I will meet you over at my machine. Okay, guys, I'm on my machine. I got the design loaded right there. I am making the 6x10 size. I have my hoop on with 1 sheet of cutaway. Go ahead and use your preference for stabilizer and go ahead and stitch the very first step, which is the placement stitch, directly onto your stabilizer. I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, guys, that's what it looks like right there. There's your placement stitches. Now you can see right here, you have these different stitches. This line, and this line are going to show you where to place your zipper. You want your zipper teeth placed along this middle line. I always just line it up right above this bottom line, and it works out just fine. So here's a zipper. If you want to go ahead and have your bag open from this direction, from here to here, then put your zipper pull over here. If you want it to open from the other direction, just go ahead and do it the opposite direction. I like mine this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line it up right along this line where you can see it, but just barely. And then I'm going to just take a piece of tape, place it there, take another piece of tape, get it where you want it, and place it right there. Now you know you have a long enough zipper if your zipper pull and this bottom stopper are far enough over your placement lines that your machine can get all the way around here without hitting either one of them. It can be way longer because we're going to trim it later, but it can't be shorter. You need it long enough to get past your placement stitches. So if you can see, this is how you're going to want it. Okay, so it's on there. So I'm going to go over to my machine. The next step's going to go ahead and stitch right here on the zipper, and it's going to jump the zipper teeth and stitch along the top, tacking your zipper to your stabilizer. So I'm going to go run that, and I'll come back and show you. Okay, guys, it went ahead and tacked down that zipper on both sides. So we are now tacked down to our stabilizer. Now we're going to go ahead and use our stitch lines here, our placement stitch lines, to determine what size fabric we're going to use. Okay, so I'm going to just write up here, this is the top of the bag. I know it's kind of harder to see what I'm doing. So here's the top of our bag. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a piece of fabric that is your front. And it's the main piece of fabric that you put down here is going to be the part that shows up here on the top, the drips. So you're going to want that as your main. And then you're going to need an applique that goes down here, which is that fabric. You're going to need a front fabric that goes up here. Then you're going to go ahead and need the liner that goes up here. And you're going to need the liner that goes along this front right here, and then you're going to need the back of your bag and also the liner that's on the back of your bag. Okay, so I'm going to go through those really quickly. I already cut them all, but you can see the sizes are right here. You just go along the placement. This is going to be your width, and this is going to be your height here, and your height here and width. So you can go ahead and measure it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the outside pieces of the bag first, because when I do the outside pieces of my bag, you're going to want to interface your fabric, and it's going to depend on what you want out of your bag and what fabric you're using to determine what interfacing you use. So this is going to be the part that shows as the drip. So I want this fabric right here. So it's going to be right here. And then you're going to need this top part right here too. So this is the outside front of your bag right here. I went ahead, this is just woven fabric. I went ahead and ironed it, and I went ahead and put on fusible fleece, which is a little bit thicker. It's just going to make my bag a little bit thicker. On woven fabric, it's a preference. You can use lightweight, medium weight, fusible interfacing. I'm using fusible fleece though. It's going to make it a little thicker. Okay, so I have those two pieces right there. Now you're going to need your applique piece. You can wait until the applique draws out on here, but I already cut my fabric for that. And I went ahead, I'm using this cotton lycra fabric, which is stretchy. So you need to either use fusible fleece, or you can use SF101 interfacing. It's a fusible interfacing for cotton lycra, and it stops the stretch. Okay, so I went ahead and used SF101 on this. If this was my whole front and the main part of my bag, I would have used fusible fleece because I like the thickness, but I already have it on here, and this is going to go right on top of it. So I used SF101 for my front applique piece right there. Now for the back of my bag, I'm going to use this fabric as well. I put fusible fleece on the back of my bag. Okay, so this is cotton lycra as well. So there's the back of my bag. So I have all my outside pieces. That's what they are. Those four are my outside bag pieces, and that's how I interface them. Okay, so I'm ready to go there. Now let's talk about the liners. You're going to need a liner for up here. I'm going to use the same fabric. So I'm going to do that liner. And then I have a liner piece right here. And then you're going to need your back liner piece that goes over the whole, all the stitch lines right here, top to bottom like that, okay? And these are woven, and I just went ahead and ironed them. I didn't put any interfacing on them at all, okay? So that is the fabric requirements for this bag. Now the next step is going to go ahead and do this bottom area. So we're going to go ahead and grab this part. Now this is the fabric that you want to use, is where you're going to see the drips showing still. So this little part up here is going to show of this fabric, but you go ahead and place it along the whole front of the bag. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just flip this up. So let me show you real quick. If you have a directional fabric, I'm going to use this. If you have a directional fabric, you're going to have the fabric facing you right side up, facing you the correct way, and then you're going to flip like this, and you're just going to line it up along the bottom of the zipper right here. The stitch line that's directly above it is the line that's going to be stitching, so you just want to make sure you catch that. So this is how you would place that, and you would tape here and here. I'm not using this fabric. I was just showing you for directional purposes, so I'm going to go ahead and take the piece of fabric that I put fusible fleece on. I'm going to go ahead and flip it up, pull it along right there, and then I'm going to go ahead and tape it up like that. Now we are going to place the liner at the exact same time, so I'm going to go ahead and flip my hoop upside down. This is the top. I drew a blue line right here. Here's the bottom line that you want to line up underneath. Okay, so I need to go ahead and take my liner. So here's one of my liners. Let me show you with directional fabric. So this is your fabric for your liner. You're going to do face up towards you. You're going to flip it up like this. You're going to pull it right below this bottom line like that. You're going to tape it. And then when it does that, it stitches a line next. Then it's able to pull down, and it's going to be facing the correct way. Okay, I'm using just this. So I'm going to go ahead and place it here really fast. And you're going to tape it here so it stays there and just stays out of the way for a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go over to my machine. And when I put this on my machine, I always kind of put my hand underneath there because, you know, the liner's just hanging. So I put my hand under here, I get this on my machine, and then I make sure that it's out of the way and then it's up. Okay, so make sure to check that before you stitch the next step. The next step is going to go ahead and stitch one line right here, tacking the front and the back to this stabilizer. I will be right back. Okay guys, that's what it looks like right there. Went ahead and did that stitch right there. And while I'm at machine, I'm just gonna let you know I'm running a baby lock spirit. Lots of people ask, so I'm just gonna show you. So what you're gonna do now is you're gonna bring your top fabric down like this. Leave your liner up. Make sure it stays out of the way for the next few steps still. Okay, now I'm going to pull this down. It's going to go ahead and do a top stitch, a nice top stitch across here. So make sure you have the right color thread that you want and go ahead and smooth this down. You're going to want this smooth and how you want it. And then go ahead and stitch the next step. It's going to go ahead and do that top stitch and I'll come back and show you. Okay, there's that pretty top stitch right there. Now the next step is going to go ahead and just tack the front of your bag down. It's just going to stitch right around here. So go ahead and make sure that it's still smooth and flat and stitch the next step. Make sure your liner is still out of the way. Okay guys, this is what your bag should look like so far. Your liner's still up here. The next step is going to go ahead and do the placement for that applique. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch that. I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, that's what it looks like. Now you need a big enough piece of fabric to go over all this. You have to get it all the way past all of these. Okay, so I already cut this fabric I showed you. This is the fabric I'm using that I want down here. And I went ahead and interfaced this with the SF101, okay, because this is cotton lycra. So I'm going to make sure I get past all of those stitch lines. Get it lined up how I want. I also can see where it's going to cut off the design so I can place these kind of where I want them. I'm going to go ahead and place this on top, making sure I get past all the stitch lines and how I want it. And then I'm going to go ahead and stitch the next step, which is going to tack this fabric down. And I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, this is what it looks like right here. We still have our liner up there. Now we're going to go ahead and cut out this applique. I'm going to use applique scissors right here. And we're going to cut these curves right here. Okay, let me get it going. And you're just going to cut them really close to where your satin stitches can cover any excess fabric that's up here. Now, one more thing you can do when you do an applique, a lot of people use Heat and Bond Light. So on this, I could have used Heat and Bond Light on the back. It holds your appliques in place, but I used SF101. But know that normally on appliques, you use that Heat and Bond Light. And it goes on the same way. You just go ahead and iron it on just like you would interfacing. And then you take the plastic off of it, okay? So know that you can use that as well. Okay, so I went ahead and trim this all up. You don't need to trim any of the sides or bottom because that's going to get folded into your bag. You actually don't want to trim that part. I'm just making sure these are close enough that when it stitches the satin stitches, you don't want to see this fabric on the other side. Okay. Okay, I think that is good. I'm going to go ahead and bring this to my machine. The next thing it's going to stitch is the satin stitches that are going to go along here. And so go ahead and pick the color that you want to see and go ahead and stitch that part. Make sure, one of the tips that I have is this is a lot of satin stitching going all the way across here. Make sure your bobbin's full. I always double check to make sure my bobbin can make it all the way through a big satin stitch because I don't like if it runs out in the middle because then a lot of times you can see where it stopped. Okay, so go ahead and check that as well. That's just a little tip. Okay, so I'm going to go run that and I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, this is what it looks like right here. It went ahead and did all that satin stitching. Super cute. Okay, now what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and tack this liner down. If there is anything else you want stitched on the front of your bag, like if you added a name or you added whatever you wanted, you would stitch it right now. This step, you would put it right now and stitch it. You want to stitch it before this liner goes down, okay? I'm not stitching anything else, so I'm going to go ahead and flip my bag. I'm going to go ahead and pull this down Mine's a little long to tape, so I'm gonna go cut some of this off so I can still tape it. Okay, make sure you get past all your stitch lines. I'm gonna pull this down and I'm just gonna go ahead and tape it. Okay, that. Okay, now I'm going to take this over to my machine and I'm going to run the next step, which is going to go ahead and stitch right along here, tacking that down. Okay guys, this is what your front should look like, and this is what your back should look like. It went ahead and did the liner. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do this top front, and we're going to do the underneath liner right here as well. Okay, so excuse me, let me get it. Okay, I'm going to use the same fabric here. Now, let me get some directional fabric. Let's say it's this, that it's not really measured correctly. But, so, what you would do is if it was facing towards you, you would actually go facing towards you right up. You'd go like this, and you'd pull it down here along this line right here. Okay, and then it's going to go ahead and stitch it, and when you pull it up, it's going to be facing the correct way towards you. Okay, I know this isn't a real piece of fabric, but you would go like that. So facing towards you, flip up like this, pull it down along this line right here. Let me right there, and then go ahead and tape it like that. Okay, like that. Okay, mine's not directional, so I'm going to just go ahead and that's the right way up, down. I'm going to just pull it right here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tape it right like that. Tape like that. All right, now that is ready to go. It's going to go ahead and stitch that one line, and then you're going to flip it up instead of flipping it down. Okay, so we need to do it right here as well. I have that same fabric. I don't know where I put it. Did I put the wrong one on here? Oh. Okay, hang on. Let me locate the fabric. I'm not sure where it went. Okay, sorry. It fell on the floor. Okay. That's a specific one because I put fusible fleece on this because it's the outside of the bag. Okay, so let me show you again with this. If you had this fabric, you would go ahead, right sides towards you face, you'd put it towards you and then pull it up, and you would put it right along the line right here. The bottom edge would be along that line right there. So when it tacks that line down, when you go up, all of it's facing the correct way, like that. Okay, so I'm going to use this fabric. So basically gonna put it like right there, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and tape this down like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna put this on my machine. I'm gonna make sure the bottom still looks right, and then I'm gonna do the next step, which is gonna do one line right here, and then I will show you how it flips. Okay guys, that's what it looks like right there. It went ahead and tacked that down. Your liner should be tacked down too. Now we're gonna do the top stitch up here. So you're gonna flip it up like this, make sure it's smooth and nice. Leave the liner where it's at, it still should be down. And you're gonna do a top stitch right here. Make sure you have the right color thread and go ahead and stitch the next step with this being up nice how you want it. Okay guys, that's what it looks like right there with that pretty top stitch like that. So you can just make sure that's nice and smooth and how you want it. And I'm just going to tape this up because the next step is just going to stitch the curve around here, tacking this up, but it's also going to tack your liner. So hold on. So we have that top. If you flip this over, you're going to pull this up as well. Okay, like this. Okay, now you're going to go back to your machine and you're going to stitch the next step, which is going to tack this and your front piece up how it should be. Okay, I'm going to go stitch that. I will come back and show you. Okay guys, this is what the top of your bag should look like. This is what the underneath should look like right there. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and put the back of our bag on the front of our bag. And whenever we do that, we want to open our zipper. So let me get all this tape out of the way. Okay, you're going to open it far enough over that you can turn through your bag, but not so far over that the foot of your machine will hit your zipper pull. So like right here is fine. I can make sure it gets up high. Now this is the step where you add anything you want that hangs off of your bag. So if you want this to be a purse, you'll go ahead and get like D-rings. You can use vinyl. You can use fold over elastic like this. You can use bias tape that you make. The way that you would place this, your zipper's open. The way that you're going to place this is you're going to go ahead and put it up like this along this line up here. So if you place like one here and then you placed another one right here, when the bag finishes, it's going to flip up like that, and then you can hook purse straps to it or whatever. So that's, or you can put one here and do purse straps that hang off of the sides that go here. But you know that the next step's going to stitch all the way around this placement stitch right here. So anything you put along this side, you can add to a bag. Make sure to put the hardware or what you want to keep on the inside, because we cut the outside off. So if you wanted like a little hook here, you'd place it in. I'm just going to put a little hook thing, right? A little, I'm not going to use the D ring. I'm just going to use this little fold over elastic loop to put right here so I can add some charms if I want to. Okay, so I'm going to place it right here along the zipper. Now know that the farther you put it in like this, it's going to stitch along this line, the bigger the loop's going to be. If you pull it this way more, the loop's going to be smaller. If you have hardware on here, make sure it's not too close to this line, because you don't want the foot of your machine hitting your hardware. Okay, so I'm just going to tape that down. Now go ahead and add anything that you want to add, and know when this flips back up, this is the side you're going to see. The side that's facing down is the side you're going to see. So if you're adding any of your like business labels or anything, this is how you would add it. And whatever's touching the right side of your fabric face down is what's going to flip up and what you're going to read. Okay, so that's how you place it the right way. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the back of my bag, which is this one. So if you take the right side of your fabric facing up, facing towards you, the right side, you don't flip up this time, you flip sideways like this. Okay, and then make sure you're over all of your placement stitches and make sure your zipper is open. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and stitch the next step, which is going to go ahead and stitch all the way along here several times, enclosing your bag. I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, this is what it looks like. It went ahead and stitched all the way around your bag. Now we're going to flip our hoop to the underneath of our hoop, and we're going to go ahead and place our liner. Let me find one that's not, this isn't big enough, but let me just show you. If you had fabric that was directional, you'd have it facing you, facing up the right direction, and you would turn it like this and make sure it goes all the way around your placement stitches. That's how you would turn directional fabric to make sure it's the right way for your liner. Okay, so here's mine. It doesn't matter how mine goes, just as long as the right sides touch each other. Okay, like this. I'm going to leave a little bit extra down here because you're going to turn, or you're going to close your hole down here. Okay, so I got it like that. And now I'm going to go ahead and tape this down because it's on underneath of your hoop. Okay, so I'm going to bring this back to my hoop, my machine. I'm going to put the hoop back on, and I'm going to stitch the next step, which is going to do this exact same stitch, but it's going to leave a hole down here. Okay, so I'm going to go stitch that. I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, yay, we're done stitching. So there's the underneath. That's what it looks like. Here's the top. I'm going to take it off my hoop. Take all this tape off. Okay. Okay, now I go ahead and cut from the underneath because I can see where the hole starts and ends. Okay, so I'm going to take some scissors. I'm just going to cut at an angle up to that stitch line without cutting the stitches. I'm going to turn. These scissors aren't good. Sorry. I'm going to switch scissors. I'm going to cut all the way around. I'm going to get over to this side. I'm going to stop where the stitches stopped, cut out, cut across, throw that away. Okay, now I'm going to take my 2 liner pieces, that's the pieces on either side of the hole, and I'm going to put those up because we need those to close the hole. I'm going to fold my bag over like this just so I can hold it. See how I'm holding that up? Sorry, my dogs are barking. And I'm going to cut across right here to get all this excess off because you don't need all this other stuff. You really just need the liner pieces, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and turn through this hole. I stick my hands up and I help push it through. You don't want to tear right here next to the hole. Sometimes it tears. You want to try to avoid that. Come over here, push it through, push it through. Okay. Now you can use whatever you have to push these out. I just use like this little chopstick thing. Okay, just trying to get my corners nice. All right. Now we're gonna have to do 2 things. One, I'm gonna go ahead and use this peel. Let's see, I can like keep the cover of it. It's Peel and Stick. Here it is. Peel and Stick Fabric Fuse. That's what I'm using right here. I also like to use this clear glue if you're a glue person. I like this glue as well to close this hole. You can do whatever method you like. People like to hand stitch it. There's lots of different methods. I'm going to show you this one. So I'm going to put this tape directly on the stitch lines right there. Okay, and I'm just going to tear it and rub it down because pressing it makes it stick. Now I'm going to sandwich this fabric both sides, folding this in like this. And I like to use a clip or 2 when I get it how I want it. Okay, when it's kind of like how you want it, I just clip a little bit so it stays. And then you're going to peel this off. Get this folded in on itself. Hold on. Okay, and then you press it together when you get it how you want it. And you just keep pulling. I just pull a little bit at a time. Do not pull the whole thing all the way across. Oops, sorry, I'm off camera. Don't pull the whole thing all the way across because that's really hard. It's really sticky, so it gets away from you. Okay, if this thing pops up right there, I always just stick it back in with this. And then I just press it all closed. Okay, now you can see that it's closed, it's smooth, it's not coming apart. Looks great. It's all the way closed. It's easy as that. Now I use cutaway here, so I need to cut this out. I probably should have did it like right when I did the zipper, but I forgot, of course. So I'm going to just take these little snips and I'm just going to make sure that I get just the cutaway. You don't want to get your zipper or anything. Once it gets started, it's not that bad. Okay. And then you are just gonna go ahead and cut this out. Make sure you're not cutting your fabric. I'm pulling it kind of up like this. A lot of times if your scissors are sharp enough, you can just slide it like this so you're not actually doing the cutting motion. Okay. Cut that little string. Okay. Now you're just going to go back the other direction. Okay, almost done. Okay, we are done. Now, if you didn't open your zipper, you wouldn't have an opening right here. That's why the zipper is really important, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and flip this again through the zipper. Now you're going to want to make sure you turn it really nice because this is the last turn. I'm going to use this to just kind of get my corners all nice. Flip this top part. Okay, we are in business. I'm just getting it all flat and right, and I will show you it in 1 second. Okay, and there you go. There's our cute bag. This is called the Drip Bag by Parker on the Porch. There's our cute little fold over elastic loop. Here's the front. There's the front right there. Okay, here's the back. Super cute. You open it up. There's our liner. No exposed seams. Really super clean and pretty. Okay, that is how you make this bag. This is the 6x10. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. If you go to see more underneath my name, there's a video and then my name's there. If you go see more right there, it will have the link to this bag. Also a lot of links of different things that I buy, just generic supplies that I use, scissors, stuff like that. So let me know if you have any questions. Please give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And go ahead and hit that little bell and subscribe to my channel, and I will let you know when a new tutorial comes up. Also, if you got to this tutorial with a link, make sure to find my group. I have over 100 videos, tutorials showing you how to make the different Parker on the Porch in the hoop designs. So hope they all help. Have a really great day, and I will see you in the next one. Can't wait to see what you make.